Hey guys, it's episode 15 of I'm Just an Asshole Sometimes. I'm your host, Clarissa, and if you're interested in hearing messed up Reddit stories, stay tuned. Okay, for the first one, it's kind of really messed up, but am I the asshole for not letting my stepsister have my baby? I, 40-year-old female, always wanted a big family. I've had 10 children, oldest 22 and youngest still yet to be born. Me and my husband love being parents, and every time I get pregnant, it's like when we had our first baby, the excitement and planning and buying clothes, etc. My stepsister, 42, also wanted babies, but she can't, even with IVF. So when I got pregnant with my baby now, she and her husband approached me and my husband and asked if she could adopt baby as her own. As we well know, she's always wanted one and the struggle she's been through to conceive. Me and my husband listened and sympathized, but as gently said no. We will be keeping our baby and suggested maybe it's time to look into adopting. That suggestion was immediately rejected because they said they wouldn't know where their child family medical history, but with me and my husband, they would know if we give them our baby as their own. We gently but firmly said no. My sister started crying, and my brother-in-law said we were heartless and selfish, and they left. That was 2 weeks ago, and since then, I've had family and my parents call me selfish and a bitch and heartless. I told them then, why don't they have a baby for them if that's how they feel? I got told because I already am having a baby. It makes sense that I give them my baby, and it's not like I don't have a family already, and I can have another baby to replace this one. Husband is angry because I'm getting stressed over they're harassing us about baby. Maybe it's a pregnancy hormones, but I'm starting to think I'm the asshole. Okay, no. First of all, I think she's well into her third trimester, and that's when her sister decides to spring the question on her instead of maybe right away in the beginning. I don't know. And for the family to agree with the stepsister that she's the asshole for not giving her stepsister her baby, that's insane. The only thing I pretty much don't agree on is this woman has 10 children, and she said they range from 22 all the way down to this new baby. And to me, no matter how good of a parent you are, there's always going to be some form of parentification going on, especially with the older kids. And to me, I would never want that many kids where I would make the older ones take care of the younger ones. It's not fair. They didn't sign up for this, and for you to push that on them, it's disgusting. And most people, they had the biggest problem with her having 10 kids, calling them assholes because they have 10 kids. That's insane. So let's take it to the comments. A lot of them are just kind of like, you're the asshole for having 10 kids. Not the asshole. That's insane to just be like, hand over your baby. Even if I think no one needs or should have 10 kids for any reason. Yep. Yeah, children aren't commodities to trade. Weird flex from family as someone who doesn't want kids. 10 kids seem like a lot. I have 2 kids, and right now 2 kids are a lot. I can imagine 8 more. And someone says, right, I'm so baffled by this family that just seems to think babies are Pokemon cards. Just give me this one and you can make a replacement. You have 10 already. I only want this one. Come on, give me it. Ma'am, you are talking about human beings, not collectibles. Looks like the universe kind of nailed it by making her infertile. Anyone who would even consider suggesting such a thing wouldn't or shouldn't be allowed within 10 miles of a human baby. I don't know, but yeah, it's just disgusting that she's hounding her stepsister to give her her baby. It's like, that doesn't make sense. She said no, and then whatever. But I don't know, it seems like this family kind of has like a Duggar-esque, I don't know, thing with kids going on, but not my place to talk about it, I guess. Okay, am I the asshole for not reporting my great aunt? For as long as I can remember, my great Aunt Tracy, not a real name, had a reputation for stealing people's credit cards or opening up credit cards in the names of other people. She did it to my grandma, her sister, to her best friend, and to a few other family members. It's always been treated as a big joke in the family. Oh, hide your wallets, Aunt Tracy is coming over. Whenever she's stolen someone's credit card or used their name to open it, they just grumble and pay it off because it's Aunt Tracy and everyone knows it. That's just how it is. 2 years ago, it happened to me. But this time, instead of it only being a couple $100 like she did to the people in the past, she charged $10,000, completely maxing out my card. This was a huge financial burden to me at the time, and I was furious. I said point blank I was going to dispute the charges and file a police report. But everyone in my family started pressuring me to back down. We all know this is how Aunt Tracy is. That's happened to all of us before. It's just your turn now. You should have been more careful with your credit card. So I caved and didn't dispute the charges or file a police report. It's been an incredible financial strain to pay off this debt at the high interest rate on my card. 2 months ago, Aunt Tracy did this again to another family member. This time, she maxed out 2 of their cards, totaling about $18,000. This happened right as my cousin was about to put down a down payment for their first home, and she had to pass on buying her dream home. My cousin and her husband are furious at me for not reporting Aunt Tracy to the police 2 years ago and said I bear a lot of responsibility for their situation. I said I was just trying to keep peace in the family. My daughter's baptism is in a few weeks, and my cousin was supposed to be the godmother. She's pulling out, and now whether people attend the baptism is turning into a huge ordeal that's overshadowing what should be a special day for my daughter, who has no involvement in this. My cousin said I shouldn't show my face in a church. I've been crying since she said that. I was really only trying to do what I thought would cause the least division. Was I the asshole? Okay, first of all, with Aunt Tracy, why hasn't anyone turned her in? I mean, what she's doing is illegal. It's insane. I would be absolutely pissed if I found out someone maxed out my husband and I's credit card for 10 grand, 18 grand. That's insane. And it's like, she can't just get a pass because, oh, she's Aunt Tracy. That's what everyone does for Aunt Tracy. That's sickening. I don't know. If I were OP, I would have, turned her in 2 years ago. But just because she didn't doesn't mean her cousin can treat her like shit. The cousin should go after other family members that Aunt Tracy victimized. And I guess from reading in the comments that this cousin wants to press charges against Aunt Tracy, but I guess her husband has a DUI from a prior, I don't know exactly, but I think he's on probation for it. And I guess he drinks at family get-togethers. Well, Aunt Tracy is basically threatening to tell his probation officer that he's drinking and all this other stuff. So, the cousin won't go and tell on her. And actually, I don't know. And I guess like the husband needs a really like immaculate record. So I don't know if they didn't find out he has a DWI now, and if they found out if he loses his job. I'm not sure. But if I were her, I'd totally dispute this. It's like, if you're going to hang my husband's, I don't know, just try to like basically blackmail us, like screw you. It's like, I have the upper hand. I'm going to turn you in, whatever, because I refuse to pay off this 18 grand. And it's going to be more with the interest rate. So I don't care. It's like, let her try to threaten me. She's done this way too long. And I try to get other family members to, I don't know, try to help me along, since, the ones that were victimized by her too, because there's strength in numbers. So I don't know. I would totally be after her. It's like, screw this. I don't know why the family still deals with her and hasn't gone no contact, because at family gatherings, I guess she wanders around, goes in people's rooms, writes down their credit card numbers, tries to find documentation with their social security number. It's just really gross. It's like, why would you treat your family like that? I don't know, but I would not hold it in. It's like, yeah, blackmail me all you want, threaten me, whatever, but I'm going to the cops. Like, I'm absolutely done with you, and there definitely needs to be repercussions for, great Aunt Tracy, because this has gone way, way, way too far. Okay, for the next one. Am I the asshole for reporting my neighbor for making her 8-year-old use a tanning bed? I'm still not sure whether or not I should feel guilty about this. My next door neighbor is a woman in her late 30s or early 40s who is a single mom. She has a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. Her kids are her entire life, but she tends to live vicariously through her daughter. She constantly talks to me about beauty pageants her daughter is partaking in. A couple times she said things like, Annalise, name changed to protect the innocent, is throwing a fit because she doesn't want to practice her speech for Little Miss Louisville, or whatever the pageant is called. She pushes the girl really hard to do pageants, and I tried talking to her about it, saying, do you think that Annalise really wants to do these pageants? Maybe you should wait until she's a little older to start her on these. She always kind of just brushed it off. Well, this winter, I noticed Annalise had looked pretty orange. I asked my neighbor about it, and she said, oh, yeah, we have been using some spray on tan for Annalise. She's got to look the right complexion for the spring season, and the Farmer's Almanac is calling for a long winter, so she really doesn't have much time to get it contest ready. I kind of flew off the handle and told her she ought to not to give this girl unrealistic and unnatural tans at this age. She told me not to tell her how to raise her kids. Since then, we haven't talked much beyond pleasantries. Yesterday, I reached my breaking point. The poor little girl came over to play with my daughter, but she was as red as a lobster. She told her friend that she got burnt while tanning. I happen to know that my next door neighbor has a tanning bed in her house, which she uses, but tanning your child? I don't think that's legal. The fact that she got burnt shows it isn't safe. I called CPB, Kentucky's version of Child Protective Services, and filed a complaint. They took down my information and an extensive record of what I saw new. They say it's anonymous, but I'm sure she will know it's me. I probably should have talked to the mom before calling to confirm the worst, but I was so mad I wasn't seeing straight. Am I the asshole? From what I know is, as a child, if you have a really bad sunburn, just once as a child, it more than doubles your chance later on in life for skin cancer. So, I mean, forcibly putting your kid in a tanning bed so she can tan and she's burning, that's insane to me. There's no way I'd ever put one of my kids in a tanning bed. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go so far as calling CPS. I'd have to know even more of the background, but I don't know, because sometimes CPS, they can make things so much worse, and I just wouldn't want that on my conscience. But to each their own. So let's read the comments. Not the asshole. If forced tanning does not meet the legal definition of abuse, then CPS will not pursue it. And if it does, then it needs to stop, and you absolutely did the right thing. Which I agree. And then OP said, thank you. Will they put the girl from the home, or will they pull the girl from the home though? Even if she decided to tan herself, I hadn't considered too much that she might have voluntarily done it. Someone said, to my knowledge, it's never really the goal to pull the child. The situation would probably require monitoring for a while, which sounds like a good idea. Maybe the daughter could get out of pageants if she really wants. Also, I love that you used the name Annalise. It's pretty. Yeah, I mean, a lot of social workers, they will definitely try to get together with your supports and create some sort of like game plan. And I mean, a lot of them will do this. Some of them are quick to jump the gun and pull the children out of the home. I don't know. It all depends. Let's see. Not the asshole. Child pageants are nasty already. The tanning thing just makes it worse. Agreed. Another thing I think is so disgusting with young girls being in pageants is usually those shows, you don't need tickets to go in there. You don't need to even know anyone. A lot of guys will walk in there, and that is creepy. So they can be taking pictures of your child being a creeper, and I don't know, no one will ask them, like, oh, do you have a child here, or whatever. That alone terrifies me, because I just would not want to subject my child to anything like that. Someone said, in my state, it's illegal for anyone under the age of 16 to use a tanning bed. Good to know, because I had no clue. I remember a few times when I was 16, I bought tanning packages because I am so incredibly fair. But I went in there for a few minutes and I got burned really bad. I remember that it was so incredibly painful, and I'm not the type that gets burned and then it, fades to a tan. I burn, I peel, and I'm white again, so I got off that whole tanning thing pretty fast, because I absolutely hate when my skin is burnt. Someone says stage 5 or 4 melanoma patient here. Tanning beds are dangerous. I personally think someone should launch a class action like they did against the tobacco industry. This story is so sad. I'm so glad you did something about it. Someone else said, yes, tanning beds are actually a higher risk for cancer. I was horrified to find that out, and so glad I never tried one. And then someone said, highly unlikely. They only pull the child if there is an immediate danger. Best guess if, and this is not a given. This amounts to abuse. This time they probably will just tell the mother to lay off the tanning bed. I mean, you can't even try to, kind of guess what CPS will do, because you may think it's one thing and it totally isn't. So, I really don't know. But, I don't know. All the best for OP and her friend and friend's family. Am I the asshole for taking my baby to see my family against my wife's wishes and then telling her she needs to see a therapist? We came home from the hospital 5 weeks ago with our first child, a boy. For the next 4 weeks, my wife did not let any of my family visit our son. Her mother and sister came over several times a week. My wife refuses to let my family see him because she doesn't want to play host. My family understands that being a new mom is stressful, and they have no expectations of being treated like proper guests. I told her it's not fair that her family can come and go as they please, but my family can't even meet him. She said her family comes over to help her, which is really not true. They just hold the baby a little, and if the baby isn't sleeping, then I am the one taking care of him while they are here. They don't clean or anything. At most, they might bring some takeout on the way over. Finally, I decided I will be taking the baby to see my parents last weekend. My wife doesn't breastfeed, so I got all the formula and diapers and everything I would need for a couple days and packed a bag. I thought this was a win-win because my wife could have some time to herself or come along and she would be under no pressure to host anyone. But she got mad when I told her what I would do, but I told her this was this was happening. I'm the baby's father, and my family has a right to see him just as hers does. She refused to come along and said she can't believe I'm treating a new mother this way. I left on Friday evening and didn't hear anything from my wife on Saturday, but her sister and mom were over and sent a bunch of texts basically accusing me of abusing a new mother. Finally, on Saturday, she started sending me text after text on how I was a terrible husband, how I kidnapped our son, how a baby can't be separated from its mother, etc. It got so bad that I cut my visit short and drove home. She was very mad when I got home and refusing to speak to me. The next day, when the baby was asleep, I sat her down and tried to calmly explain to her that I am the father of the baby, so I have just as much right to where he goes and who he sees as she does. We are the equal parents. She needs to accept reasonable compromise when we disagree, like my family being able to come see our son and she not having to host them. She called me an asshole and shouted that she gets more say because she's the one who is pregnant with him. At that point, I said she thinks that way and accusations. She texted me, I think she really needs to see a doctor and get assessed for PPD because her behavior is not normal. She called me an asshole and said I was abusing my position as the earner. Money was never part of any discussion. She has been giving me a near silent treatment all week, resisting any attempts to discuss therapy. And her sister has texted me saying I should apologize to her for what I said. I told her sister that I had said absolutely nothing wrong in response to being accused of kidnapping and being a lesser parent to my son. I am standing my ground, but I need an outside perspective. Am I the asshole? Edit. To clarify, the idea my wife might have PPD did not occur to me until after the visit with my family. Edit 2. My wife knew of my plan to visit my family several days in advance. I planned a weekend trip because they are several hours away. Edit 3. I want to emphasize this because people keep asking about it. I did not want to separate my son from his mother. I wanted her to come with us. She refused. I did not forcibly take my son away from her. It was her decision not to come with, and her decision not to allow my family to come around or come to her. Edit 4. My wife is not physically handicapped from childbirth. She has been mobile and going out, including a 6-hour car ride 2 weeks ago. Edit 5. My wife refused any options involving my family coming to us. No hotel or in-town visits. I really don't know what to think. I'm just going to go with the comments. An overnight visit to your family's home over her objections as well is very different from her family coming to visit for a few hours. You can easily imagine how your equivalency argument would be perceived by a judge if it got to that point. The more reasonable compromise was to invite your family over to a porch visit for which you would be prepared, or you'd prepare all snacks, etc. Give your wife notice so she can plan to A, stay inside, B, be elsewhere, or C, join in on the visit. You have equal say in who is invited onto the property. That would have been a more defensible compromise than taking the infant out of the home overnight and away from the mother. You're the asshole. I totally agree. There's a huge difference between a few nights away and just having his family come visit for a few hours. There's a huge difference. Okay, another comment. The more reasonable compromise was to invite your family over for a porch visit, for which you'd prepare all the snacks, etc. Give your wife notice so she can plan to A, stay inside, B, be elsewhere, or C, join in the visit. She did not want them in town or at the house at all. This was emphasized in my repeated attempts to compromise with her. She felt that no matter what, if they were close, she would have to host. I don't know, I kind of get that. Like, even if people say they don't expect you to host or whatever, you still have that overwhelming, I don't know, feeling that you have to host, and it really does suck. Why is everyone acting like she doesn't have a right to feel how she feels about the in-laws? They aren't her parents, therefore she will never be as comfortable with them as she is her own. And she's at the weakest point in her life right now, trying to heal. Edit. I just don't believe this guy is telling the truth. He has some kind of excuse or situation as an excuse to any and all of the objections. An insane amount of, oh well, she did this so that makes this okay, reply to even seem like a real situation at this point. He took the baby away from her. She never did that to him. There are clearly 3 sides to this story: his, hers, and the truth. Someone else. And she's at the weakest point of her life, trying to heal. She drove 3 hours to a concert 2 weeks ago with her sister. She is physically mobile, just as she was before pregnancy. She had some pain for about 4 days after coming home, but none since then. And this is OP that said that. And someone said, OP, you are not the asshole. You did everything to compromise with your wife. I would have done the same if I were in your situation. The suggestion that she see a therapist is fair if you are concerned about PPD. My only question is, did you communicate with your wife while you were a way to give her updates and let her know how the baby was doing. So, yeah, I mean, this can go on and on and on, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of issues in their marriage, and especially with the new baby. And I don't know. I can see where he's not the asshole, but I can see where he's the asshole too. So I don't know. I'm kind of split. Am I the asshole for confirming to a mom that I purposely did not invite her kid to my kid's birthday party? There is an unspoken rule at my kid's elementary school that if you don't invite someone's kid to your kid's birthday party, then don't expect your kid to be invited to their party. Parents accept it. Even the kids know about this. My son Alex turned 8 last week, and we had his party at an indoor gym. I didn't invite one of my son's classmates, Mikey. Why? Because my son wasn't invited to Mikey's birthday last month. I know this because we were at the park the day of Mikey's party. They rented the pool out. It was fine, but I made a note of it. Mikey's mother emailed me asking why he wasn't invited to Alex's party. I said because my son wasn't invited to her son's party. She said her son's party was limited to family. I said I totally understand that, but my son's party was limited to kids who invited my son to their parties. She said that was two very different things, and I said it was the same. Our kids had parties that were invite only. It's not personal. And no, my son didn't care if he came or not. He would have said no if I reminded him, but it's rude to exclude people from a party, but expect to be invited to others. Edit. Yes, kids from my son's class and school were there. The mom said they were family friends. Okay, I don't think not the asshole. The other kid, he didn't invite her son, even though he invited other little kids from their school. I don't know. I think maybe I would have caved and invited him because I never want a little kid to feel left out. But that's just me. I don't know. I really won't want the pettiness, I guess. So let's go to the comments. Not the asshole because of the edit that it was not just a family party. She doesn't get to prevaricate and try to make you feel bad when she clearly did invite kids from school and is fibbing about it. Someone else. To be honest, even without the edit, I kind of think OP is not the asshole. If you're going to choose to have a birthday party without other kids, then you can't be surprised or offended if your kid is excluded from other parties, especially since it sounds like these aren't kids in the background with cheap decorations and cake parties either. Someone else. If you're going to choose to have a party without other kids, then you can't be surprised or offended if your kid is excluded from other parties. Frankly, you shouldn't be surprised or offended if your kid is excluded from parties to begin with. No one owes anyone else's child a party invitation. This whole you just have to invite every kid in class thing just teaches the good kids that their birthday party isn't actually about their own wants and teaches the obnoxious kids there is no consequence for being obnoxious because you're entitled to nice things even from people who don't want you around. Neither of those are great lessons. True. Someone else. You can invite no kids from class, some kids from class, or all kids from class. But inviting all the kids in class except one is a total dick move. I also agree to that. And mind you, I have a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old, so not even, in preschool or anything for any of this to happen. But another one, unless your kid is bullying and terrorizing your kid, then have at it. And then someone else, haha, I was the one kid in class who wasn't invited to something at maybe 5 or 6. It wasn't discreet either, the whole class knew. Everyone but me had an invitation in their cubby. Now, as a fully formed and diagnosed adult with ADHD, I can see that I had a difficult time relating to the other children, especially when figuring out the unspoken rules. As a kid, though, fuck, that was one of my most formative, I'm bad, weird, unlikable, no one would want me to be their friend moments. I internalized that message well into my 20s, and I still struggle with it, despite having a plethora of friends who are just as weird as I am and who love me. I haven't even told my therapist about that because it's so sad, and honestly, I still feel the shame of it to this day. I don't know, that's so sad. And someone else, let's see, I don't know, they were responding to another comment. But, I don't know, you get the idea. And I guess, I don't know, if you invite every kid but one, that's a huge asshole move. I really don't recommend doing that. Okay, I totally forgot to plug in my mic on a few of these. I apologize, so bear with me. Am I the asshole for telling my sister her kid is spoiled? My 25 male, 3-year-old niece gets whatever she wants and has no boundaries. My sister, her husband, and my parents let her get away with it. She will routinely climb on shelves to take stuff that isn't hers and always wants me, my wife, 24 female, babies, 5 months, toys. We try to tell her no, but she doesn't listen to me or my wife. Her parents and my parents do nothing to stop it. At Easter, she took my sunglasses multiple times after being told no by me and not to play with them. I put them up on the counter so she couldn't reach, and I found them later on the floor. She must have climbed or someone gave them to her, and the lenses were scratched beyond repair. She also took our baby's new book out of a bowl and tried to open his Easter basket while he was napping. When we left, I had to take a new teething ring out of his from my niece, which she screamed about. When I got him, I sent my sister a picture of my glasses, not worried about it too much. They have warranty and will be replaced free of cost. And she said that I should have put them up higher. I was upset about this because I wanted her to know it's an issue and I was blamed for it. That's when I told her the kid is spoiled and gets whatever she wants. My parents called me later and said that I was in the wrong for saying anything. She's just 3 years old. I told them that I just wanted my stuff respected and her to be told no by her parents or mine because she refuses to listen to me or my wife. We have been annoyed about this kind of stuff for a while, and now that something actually got broken, I just wanted to bring it up, but was accused of trying to start fights. So am I the asshole? I apologize for having a really short podcast today, but I don't know, just needed to put something out there, and the next one will be even better. It's just, I don't know. Just bear with me, I hope. But anyway, I hope everyone had a great Easter this past weekend. And as always, don't be an asshole.